I woke up in the body of a novel's villain. On the exact day, he decides to blow up his marriage by demanding they keep their finances completely separate. Suddenly, a translucent feed of comments floated in front of my eyes. The wife worked herself to the bone, and this scumbag husband demands they split everything 50-50. Shameless. Just wait. She's going to wise up, take everything, and leave him with nothing. He deserves it. Can't wait for the wife's girl boss glow-up. Hope this loser ends up homeless and freezes to death. Fast forward to the groveling arc. This guy needs to suffer. I remembered the plot of the novel. After the husband suggests splitting the bills, the wife meticulously plans her revenge, liquidates their assets, takes their son, and builds a new life for herself. The husband loses everything and dies homeless on the street. It was a tragedy, to say the least. But I'm not the original guy. Why should I have to take the fall? Doesn't freedom sound a hell of a lot better? So, I continue the conversation. You know what? Forget splitting the bills. I lean back. That's thinking too small. Let's just get a divorce. The comment feed exploded, the text twisting in apparent rage. Oh, WTF, a divorce? That's not how the script goes. Did this idiot fry his brain? He's skipping the 50-50 part and going straight for divorce. It's ruined. How is she supposed to bleed him dry slowly if he just cuts it off now? What's the point? I want a refund. This plot is totally derailed. I came here to watch her dismantle his life piece by piece. If they divorce now, she can't use the separate finances to torture him. She just gets half the assets and leaves? That's no fun. I ignored the virtual peanut gallery. Across from me, my wife, Chloe Sullivan, was staring at me like I'd just grown a second head. A divorce. Her voice trembled, as if she hadn't heard me right. Mark, say that again. Why would you want a divorce? She took a deep, shuddering breath, her anger barely contained. 7 years, Mark. For 7 years, I haven't worked a single day. I've been serving you, serving your son like a damn maid. I run this entire household. And now you want a divorce. Are you insane? Her voice grew louder, more frantic. Fine, let's get a divorce, but you'd better be ready to pay up. What about the 7 years of my youth I wasted? The damages. Do you know the market rate for a full-time, round-the-clock nanny and house manager like me? It's at least 15 grand a month for 7 years. That's over $1 million. And that's not even counting the pain and suffering of childbirth. Mark, are you listening to me? Oh, we're doing the math now. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. I settled back on the couch, completely relaxed. You want to run the numbers? Fine. First of all, Chloe, let's get something straight. A live-in nanny? You don't need $15,000 a month for that. In a city like Columbus, a good, efficient nanny costs $8 grand tops. Room and board included. By that math, 7 years comes out to around $670,000. I held up a second finger. Second, a nanny wouldn't give me attitude. She wouldn't pull the "I'm so hurt" or "you just don't understand me" card every other day. She wouldn't expect me to be a mind reader, and I wouldn't be responsible for her emotional labor. She gets paid to do a job. It's professional. It's simple. I watched the color drain from her face and went in for the kill. Third, you talk about your wasted youth. What about mine? Marriage is a two-way street. You felt unappreciated. You felt like you were doing everything, but you held it all in. That's your problem, not mine. You expected me to guess what was wrong. Who has time for that? I'm not a mind reader. All that resentment you've been carrying, you cultivated it yourself. What does that have to do with me? I paused, then delivered the final blow. And fourth, over the years, I've transferred hundreds of thousands of dollars into your account. That's marital property. Just give me my half, and we can call it even. Chloe looked like she'd been struck by lightning. Her mouth hung open, but no words came out. The comments went wild again. That's some serious asshole logic. A nanny. He compared his wife to a nanny. I mean, he's not entirely wrong, is he? It's twisted, but there's a point in there. Point? What point? He's a cold-blooded monster. And her brain just blue-screened. At the mention of splitting the assets, a flicker of panic crossed Chloe's eyes. She was silent for a few seconds. When she spoke again, her voice was much softer. Mark, honey, are you just stressed from work? Let's not be impulsive. The 50-50 thing. We could do that. We could do it your way. Okay, we can take it slow. And when things have cooled down, we can talk about the other stuff later. I saw the shrewd calculation deep in her eyes. Was she backing down? No. She was just recalculating her route. She needed to keep me on the hook, buy herself some time, and find a more legally sound way to bleed me dry, slow and steady, before making her triumphant exit. I laughed to myself. You want to use me as your stepping stone? Not a chance in hell. I'll just sit back and watch you perform. And maybe I'll teach the folks in the comment section a thing or two while I'm at it. The next morning, the dining table was bare. Chloe stood with her arms crossed, a glint of defiance in her eyes. Since we're splitting everything 50-50, I guess we're on our own for breakfast. The comment feed lit up. Here we go. The scumbag is about to starve. Watch him lose his temper. Get mad, you jerk. Go, Chloe, go. Let the heartless bastard starve. I didn't even bother to look up. I walked straight into the closet and calmly started ironing a shirt. Then, humming a tune, I strolled into the kitchen. The sizzle of the pan, the golden fried eggs, the perfectly crisp bacon, the warmed milk. I even made a cute little sunny-side-up egg for my son. When I walked out carrying 2 plates of a delicious-looking breakfast, the triumphant smirk on Chloe's face froze. The comment feed was stunned. He knows how to cook, and actually looks good. Wait, he's not freaking out. He even made food for his kid. What happened to the script? Holy crap, this guy isn't following the playbook at all. Get angry, damn it. I'm dying over here. And we have another CPU overheat. Chloe bit her lip as she watched our son happily devour his breakfast with me. That evening, when I got home, the living room felt emptier. A few vintage-looking decorative pieces, a niche but valuable lithograph gone. Chloe sat on the sofa, her tone self-righteous. I only sold my own things, stuff I bought before we were married. Since we're splitting finances, I have a right to do what I want with my property. I glanced around the room and chuckled. Oh, premarital assets? Fine. You're right. You could do what you want with them. The comments surged. That's right. It's her property. The scumbag can't say a thing. Yes, the bleeding has begun. Bring on the next cut. She wasted 7 years of her life on this loser. What's wrong with selling a few things? Shut up, asshole. Chloe was about to press her advantage, but I cut her off, my voice turning sharp as a razor. But let me give you a little reminder. Anything you bought after we got married is, by law, considered a marital asset. You want to sell it? Go ahead. But half of the sale price, down to the last cent, gets wired to my account. She froze. The silence lasted only a second. The comment feed erupted in a furious, blood-red torrent. Marital assets? 7 years. 7 years of thankless labor. And she has to give him money for selling a few things. Where's the justice? Geo to hell, you scumbag. You cold-hearted, law-obsessed monster. Refund. This plot has gone to shit. Chloe, just kill him already. And I'm so pissed. How can he be so calm about this? Chloe's face flushed with anger. She pointed a trembling finger at me. Mark, 7 years. I gave you a son. I worked like a dog for this family. The money you make is for the family. Not for me. I manage everything in this house. I'm exhausted. I think I have depression. You... Stop. I cut her off again. First, you didn't give me a son. You have reproductive rights. Nobody forced you. He's my son, but he's also your son. Second, my salary is for running this household, but the money ultimately ended up in your hands. I wasn't giving it to someone else, was I? Third, you worked hard. I respect your choice to be a stay-at-home mom, but you also had an equal right to get a job, to find fulfillment outside the home. You're the one who used my degree as old. I have no experience, and I'm out of touch with the world as excuses to give up that equality and that hardship. I walked over to the closet door, leaning against the frame. My fingers casually brushed across a row of designer handbags as my eyes met her pale, shocked face. My voice was dripping with sarcasm. See, this is what your hardship got you. Your bags, your makeup, all your personal luxuries. I own half of every single one of them. You want to sell them? No problem. We'll get them appraised, and we'll split it 50-50. Fair and square. I tilted my head, staring straight at her. In the closet, the expensive leather goods gleamed coldly. Chloe stood frozen, the carefully constructed mask of a victim cracking and shattering, revealing nothing but the raw panic and hatred of being seen through completely. The comment feed was completely lost in a sea of impotent, blood-red curses. In the days that followed, Chloe clearly didn't take my warning seriously. Small, Valuable items around the house continued to disappear every few days. I didn't get angry. I just took a notebook and left it on the most prominent table in the living room. Every time I noticed something missing, I would emotionlessly jot down an entry. August 13th. Antique porcelain vase, post-marriage purchase, auction record approximate. $5,500. Whereabouts unknown. August 15th. Pair of antique Tiffany silver candlesticks, post-marriage birthday gift, appraised at $3,000 plus. Whereabouts unknown. August 18th. Limited edition Chanel boy bag, post-marriage purchase, retail $8,200. Whereabouts unknown. The comments kept scrolling day after day. A ledger. Go ahead, write all down. Hope you choke on your own rage, scumbag. Go, Chloe. Keep selling. Empty his pockets. All he can do is write in his little notebook? How pathetic. What's the point of keeping a list? The thrill is in the selling. I ignored them. My son tugged on my shirt, his voice a whisper. Dad, is Mom upset lately? Some of our things are missing. I ruffled his hair. Mom's just taking care of some of her own business. Come on, I'll take you to that new amusement park. I hear the roller coaster is amazing. My son had a blast, chattering excitedly and holding my hand, his eyes sparkling. A few comments drifted by. This guy actually knows how to be a dad. His son seems to really like him. Stay strong, people. Don't be fooled by this act. Chloe, it's your move. It wasn't long before Chloe made her move. She took the money from selling her personal items, added some funds from who knows where, and went into business with her best friend, Jenna, the one whose Instagram feed was a shrine to posts about hashtag toxic men and hashtag self-love. They opened a boutique snack shop. The comments section was ecstatic. Here it comes. The girl boss origin story. Get ready to regret everything, asshole. A snack shop? Perfect. Down to earth. She's going to build an empire and rub it in his face. Waiting for this place to go viral. The cash will be flowing, and he'll be green with envy. I heard the news and scoffed. A woman who had spent 7 years as a pampered housewife, whose daily routine consisted of spa days, shopping, and complaining, and a positive energy bestie who couldn't even succeed as a multi-level marketing rep. They hadn't done a shred of market research. They were running on pure, living my best life, fumes, and a plotline ripped from a bad romance novel where every business venture is a guaranteed success. They thought they could make it in the real world. Dream on. Hard work. What do they know about real work or the pressure of running a business? That afternoon, I was picking my son up from school and happened to pass by Chloe and Jen's Sweet Bites, tucked away in an alley near the elementary school. The shop was small, gaudily decorated, with 2 sad, wilting plants by the door. I was just glancing as I passed. Inside, Chloe was listlessly wiping down a counter. When she saw me standing outside with our son, her face went white and she dropped the rag. The comments immediately sounded the alarm. What's he doing? Is he here to sabotage her business? That scum. He can't leave her alone. Before I could say a word, her friend Jenna burst out of the shop and pointed a finger in my face. Mark, you shameless bastard. How dare you show your face here? Are you stalking Chloe? Scared she's going to be better off without you? Well, I've got news for you. It's too late. Chloe is an independent woman now. She doesn't have to take your crap anymore. And you, demanding 50-50, you force your wife to open a shop just to support herself. You're the lowest of the low. Garbage. Hey everyone, come look. This is the world-class scumbag who forced his wife to split the bills and then stalked her. Her shouting match drew a crowd of parents and passers-by who started pointing and whispering in my direction. The comment feed hit a fever pitch, a sea of red text. Go Jenna, tear him apart. Expose him. Let him die a social death. The scumbag's true colors. He's a stalker, a control freak. Why yes, so satisfying. Chloe, get out here and join in. Chloe stayed inside the shop, biting her lip, watching. She didn't come out, and she didn't stop her friend. I held my slightly frightened son's hand, my expression unchanged as I faced Jenna's tirade and the judgmental stares of the crowd. I waited until Jenna had a pause for breath before I spoke, my voice calm. You know, they say your guy friends will try to save your marriage, but your girlfriend will help you end it. It's true, isn't it? You just can't stand to see someone else happy. Jenna was taken aback. Then her face flushed with even more rage. That's bullshit. I'm doing this for Chloe's own good. For her good? I laughed. Chloe's been a stay-at-home mom for 7 years. Sure, she complained a lot, but at least she never had to worry about food or shelter. She didn't have to deal with the weather or a horrible boss or demanding clients, right? But you, Miss Jenna, I hear you lost a lot of money on that skincare scam, got blocked by everyone you tried to sell to, and are now unemployed and living off your parents. Life's been tough, huh? Jenna's face turned crimson. You're talking nonsense. I didn't give her a chance to interrupt, my words steady but piercing. You saw her living a comfortable life, and you got jealous, didn't you? So you filled her head with this live your best life solo nonsense. You've been reading too many trashy novels. You think opening a store and posting about being a strong, independent woman is all it takes to get revenge on an ex and become a girl boss. You think starting a business is that easy. Does money just grow on trees? I glanced at their empty snack shop, mercilessly shattering their fantasy. You call this hard work? You've been open for a week. Have you even figured out how to read an invoice? Have you calculated your labor, utility, and rent costs? How many bags of gourmet popcorn do you sell a day? Enough to cover rent. You opened in an alley behind school, so you only get foot traffic for an hour after dismissal. Did you do any market research on your products? How much allowance do elementary school kids get? What do they like to eat? There's a huge supermarket 2 blocks away, with cheaper prices and a way better selection. What's your competitive edge? The hashtag toxic men hashtags on your Instagram. I paused, watching Jenna's face contort with anger and the onlookers' expressions shift to thoughtful contemplation. I delivered the final blow. Living her best life? Why don't you focus on not bankrupting this little venture and losing all the money Chloe got from selling her bags and antiques first? Then we can talk about her best life. Oh, and by the way, that reminds me. Did any of the startup capital for the shop come from marital assets? If so, I'll be expecting my dividend check. The comment feed short-circuited. Brutal. He's going for the jugular. I took my bewildered son by the hand and turned to leave. Behind me, Jenna was shaking with fury. Inside the shop, Chloe's face was ashen. After walking around with my son for a while, we returned home that evening to a living room filled with blinding lights and an atmosphere as heavy as lead. My parents and her parents were all sitting on the sofa, their faces grim. Chloe and Jenna were there too. The comment feed was practically buzzing with excitement. The parent-teacher conference from hell. He's really done it now. Get ready for a beatdown from both sets of parents. Let's see how he talks his way out of this. Team Chloe. My parents spoke first, their voices tired and confused. Mark, what is all this nonsense? You have a perfectly good life. Why this 50-50 business? And divorce. Your son is growing up. What are you thinking? Her parents were furious, shooting me icy glares before turning to Chloe with a softer tone. Chloe, honey, if you have a problem, you can tell us. We'll support you. But you've been married for so long, and you have a child. You need to try to make it work. Chloe's eyes immediately welled up. Before she could speak, Jenna leaped to her feet, her voice an octave higher. Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan, why should Chloe have to live her life at the mercy of some man? Chloe is a person. She has the right to pursue her own career and her own value. What's wrong with opening a shop? She's realizing her self-worth. Chloe straightened up, looking at her parents for validation. The comment feed cheered. My parents and hers were momentarily speechless, and all eyes turned to me, filled with pressure and accusation. Her dad frowned and pointed at me. Mark, it takes 2 to tango. You tell us what's really going on. Why throw away a good life with all this talk of splitting finances and divorce, turning everything upside down? Tell us. Why? I smirked, but instead of answering, I looked at Jenna. Jenna, first, when did I ever give her attitude? She's the one who gave me the silent treatment every day and expected me to read her mind. Second, haven't I been respectful enough? She wanted to sell off our assets. I didn't stop her. She wanted to open a shop and be a girl boss. I didn't stand in her way. What more do you want? For me to get on my knees and beg? And third, I turned my gaze to Chloe. If you have something to say, why don't you say it to your parents? Or to me, your husband? Why do you only confide in your bestie here? Is she going to support your family? Is she going to raise your son? Besides fanning the flames, feeding you this so-called woke narrative, and enjoying the drama, what exactly does she do? I paused, my tone laced with undisguised mockery. You know how it is with friends like that. They're scared you'll fail, but they're terrified you'll succeed. You let her poison your mind for so long you've actually turned into a walking ball of resentment who thinks she's the world's biggest victim. Don't you feel stupid? Mark, you're an asshole. Chloe and Jenna shrieked in unison, their faces contorted with rage. The comment feed exploded. Go to hell, you misogynist. How dare you slander female friendship? Disgusting. He's the scumbag, but he's blaming everyone else. I'm literally shaking. How dare he say that about Jenna? The living room descended into chaos. The parents were stunned, shocked into silence by my blunt and cruel words. I let out a cold laugh. My voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the noise. You all want to know why I demanded separate finances? You want the unvarnished truth? Fine. You asked for it. I took a sharp step forward, and before Chloe could react, I snatched the phone she was clutching in her hand. Give that back. What are you doing? She screamed, lunging for it. I easily dodged her, my fingers flying across the screen until I found the icon for a live streaming app. I was swift and decisive. The comment feed went quiet for a split second. He's taking her phone. What's he trying to do? A streaming app? I shoved the phone in front of everyone, pulling up her donation history and her private messages. The screen was filled with an endless list of transactions and intimate chats. Staring at Chloe's face, which had turned the color of ash, I spoke, my voice like ice. You want to know why I brought up splitting our finances? Why don't you explain this first? In the last 6 months, you have donated over $450,000 to this streamer, Ace Wind. And where did that money come from? It came from me. Now do you understand why I wanted to separate our finances? Huh. On the screen, the handsome face of the male streamer and the staggering donation amounts were illuminated by the bright lights of the living room, painfully, undeniably clear. Time seemed to stop. The room was utterly silent. Everyone stared at the small screen as if they'd been strangled, their faces a mask of pure, unadulterated shock. The comment feed was gone. There was only a suffocating, empty void. The living room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. All the color had drained from Chloe's face. Her lips trembled, but she couldn't form a single word. After a moment of dead air, the comment feed came back to life with a vengeance. The text a chaotic, twisted mess. HOYS? $450,000? To a male streamer? Babe? Honey. A is sensory overload. My brain is fried. So that's why he wanted to separate their finances? Dear God, this is the plot twist of the century. This is worth every penny. Wait a minute. So all her talk about being a victim. This is messed up. Where are the refund people now? Come on out. This story is a masterpiece. The shock on my parents' and in-laws' faces had morphed into utter disbelief. Her mother clutched her chest, her voice shaking as she pointed at Chloe. Chloe, what? What is this? Who is this man? How could you? The sound of her mother's voice seemed to snap Chloe out of her trance. She flinched, her eyes darting around the room before landing on my cold expression. The immense shame and panic of being exposed sent her into a spiral. She suddenly raised her voice, shrieking at me through her tears. Mark, how dare you spy on me? You're out networking every night. I don't see you for weeks at a time. Is this house just a hotel to you? I'm stuck at home all alone with our son. I'm lonely. I'm isolated. I have no one to talk to. She pointed at the streamer's face on the phone, tears streaming down her cheeks as if she were the real victim. What's wrong with him? At least he's nice to me. He calls me babe. He talks to me. What about you? What have you ever given me besides money? She grew more hysterical, as if she'd finally found an outlet for her rage. Yes, I donated to him. So what? It's how I deal with the loneliness. You wouldn't understand. You're a cold-hearted machine. You don't know the first thing about emotional connection. It's not like I actually cheated on you. The comment feed seemed to waver for a moment. She kind of has a point. Being neglected for a long time. An emotional void. The scumbag is partly to blame, right? Emotional neglect is a thing. I scoffed at her performance, my voice quiet but sharp enough to pop her bubble of self-pity. Chloe, first, every business dinner, every late night was to close a deal, to make money. And did you not spend that money? Did not support this family. My eyes swept over her expensive loungewear and towards the walk-in closet, the implication clear. Second, Lonely. You have hands, feet, and a brain. If you're lonely, read a book, take a class, find a hobby. You could have even gotten a job and re-engaged with society. But what did you choose? You chose to sit in a virtual chat room, spending our marital assets, calling some guy who lives off camera filters and practice lines honey. All for a cheap, pathetic emotional fix. I stared at her, my words deliberate and clear. Chloe, listen to me. A man who is handsome, young, rich, and has all the time in the world to chat with you and make you feel special does not exist. If he does, he's either a con artist or he wants something from you. And you, a married woman in your 30s, you don't even have the basic judgment or self-control to see that. You couldn't handle being lonely. You couldn't hold a boundary. And you let a few sweet nothings from a stranger convince you to empty our bank account to fund his lifestyle? My face was a mask of pure scorn. It's childish, it's pathetic, it's sad. Chloe was trembling, her face ghostly white. I was done looking at her. I turned to our stunned parents, my voice firm. So, separate finances? That was me being generous. Now, I want a divorce. Immediately. My gaze was like a dagger, pinning Chloe where she stood. That $450,000 you threw away, half of that is mine. That's $225,000. I want it back. Every last cent. And all those marital assets you've been secretly selling off for the past few months, I want my half of that back too. If I don't see the money, we'll see each other in court. And when we do, those interesting chat logs between you and your streamer boyfriend won't just be for the family to see. Mark, you're trying to destroy me. Chloe screamed in despair. Bullshit. Jenna, who had been silent, suddenly sprang forward, pointing at me to defend her friend, her voice shrill. It's just money. Don't get cocky, Mark. Our snack shop is about to take off. When Chloe is making her own money, your pathetic little sum will be nothing. We'll pay you back double. Chloe can thrive all on her own. Don't come crying back to her then. She wrapped an arm around the trembling Chloe, striking a pose of fierce loyalty. Don't be afraid, Chloe. I'm here for you. We'll do this on our own. She'll earn the money and pay him back. Jenna is a true friend. Go, Chloe. Get that revenge glow up. I looked at Jenna's indignant face at the arm she had around Chloe, and I started to laugh. It was a cold, mocking laugh. On your own, with her help. My gaze settled on Jenna, my expression loaded with meaning. Jenna, you're so righteous, so selflessly supportive of Chloe's divorce and new business venture. Is it really just because you're such a good friend? My stare made her flinch. She tried to maintain her composure. What? What are you talking about? Of course I'm doing it for Chloe. For my good. Chloe instinctively looked at Jenna. Is that so? I slowly pulled my own phone out of my pocket and tapped the screen a few times. Since you're such a good, upstanding friend, why don't we let everyone see how you've been looking out for Chloe in private? I turned the screen to face the room, making sure Chloe had a clear view. On the screen was a text exchange between Jenna and me from a few months ago. The timestamp was late at night. The content was explosive. Hey, Mark, you up? A bitter housewife like Chloe doesn't get you. All she does is complain. Honestly, I've had my eye on you for a while. You're so much better than her. Anything she can give you, I can give you. And the things she can't, I can do those too. Want to grab a drink? Just the two of us. I promise I'll make you forget all about your problems at home. Image attached, a suggestive late-night selfie. Below that was my blunt reply. Get lost. Stay away from me. And beneath that, Jenna's furious response. Mark, you just wait. Who do you think you are? Your garbage marriage with Chloe is going to crash and burn. I can't wait to watch it happen to you two losers. The chat history was all there. Timestamps, messages, the picture. Ironclad proof. The air in the room froze again. It was even more silent than before. Chloe violently shoved Jenna away from her. Her eyes were wide with disbelief, darting from my phone screen to Jenna's pale, twisted face. Jenna, is that you? You called us losers? You were waiting to watch us crash and burn. Jenna completely panicked. No, that's not it, Chloe. Let me explain. It's him. Mark photoshopped it. He's trying to frame me. Frame you? I cut her off with a cold laugh. Do I need to get the phone records and data from the carrier to prove it? The comment feed went completely insane, the text blurring into a single frantic stream. HOLYS, holy S, holy S. The ultimate plot twist. The best friend's betrayal. So the bestie was the final boss all along. She tried to seduce him, got rejected, and then plotted revenge by destroying their marriage. This is the drama of the year. I bowed down to the writer. This was worth the price of admission. Poor Chloe, scammed by a streamer, used as a pawn by her best friend. The scumbag. He's still a jerk, but he's been right about everything. Chloe looked like she had been struck by lightning. She looked at the proof on my phone, then at her own phone with the donation history, and finally, she stared at the colorless face of her best friend. The overwhelming feeling of betrayal and the rage of being played for a fool for years consumed her. Aya. She let out a piercing scream and lunged at Jenna. Jenna, I'm going to kill you, you bitch. The two women collapsed to the floor, a tangled mess of screaming, crying, and scratching. My parents and her parents were completely frozen, staring wide-eyed at the chaos unfolding before them, their entire worldview seemingly shattered. I calmly retrieved both phones and looked down at the two women clawing at each other on the floor. Are you done? My voice wasn't loud, but it had a cold, penetrating quality that made them both freeze. Everyone, including the comment feed, turned to look at me. I walked to the sofa, sat down calmly, and took out a pen and paper. Chloe, Jenna, whatever issues you two have, you can sort them out yourselves. Now, let's get back to the matter at hand. The divorce papers. My lawyer will send them to yours this afternoon. The $450,000 in donations. My half is $225,000. The marital assets you sold off without my knowledge, including but not limited to. I picked up the notebook I had been keeping, my voice cold and clear as I read from it. One antique porcelain vase, post-marriage purchase, appraised at $500. My half is $2, $750. One pair of antique Tiffany silver candlesticks, post-marriage gift, appraised at over $3,000. We'll use the minimum value, so my half is $1, $500. One limited edition Chanel boy bag, post-marriage purchase, retail price $8, $200. My half is $4, $100. All items will be valued at either the market appraisal or the actual sale price, whichever is higher. Once the total is calculated, please wire my share, along with my half of the donation money, to my account within 3 business days. I pushed the neatly written list across the table, in front of the catatonic Chloe. Otherwise, I'll see you in court. And at that point, it won't be just about the money. As for the snack shop you started with your best friend, I glanced at Jenna, who was on the floor with her hair a mess, a look of pure terror on her face. Was the source of your startup capital legitimate? Did you misappropriate marital assets? I'll have the court investigate. If you did, I'll be taking back what's mine. Good luck to you both. With that, I stood up. Without another look at the ruined living room or the shell-shocked people in it, I walked straight out the door. After a moment of dead silence, the comment feed erupted in an unprecedented storm of chaos. I'm speechless. This scumbag. No, this boss is on another level. He was 10 steps ahead the whole time. This is a masterclass in psychological warfare. From 50-50 to divorce to a complete hostile takeover. That was smooth. I shouldn't be enjoying this, but I totally am. The wife brought this all on herself, delusional and manipulated by her so-called friend. Scammed by a streamer, backstabbed by her bestie, and checkmated by her ex-husband. She was playing on impossible mode. The snack shop is doomed. He's going to audit their initial investment. I need to see what happens next. The divorce is a done deal. How much money will he get back? To the author of this story, are you asleep? Because I'm not going to be able to. A few days later, in the court mediator's office, the air was thick enough to choke on. Chloe held the pen, her knuckles white. She refused to sign the divorce papers, her voice trembling with unshed tears. I was wrong. Mark, I truly know I was wrong. The money. I can pay it back slowly. Okay, just give me a chance. A chance? I smirked, my eyes devoid of any warmth. I gave you plenty of chances. I gave you one when I suggested we split the bills. I gave you one when you were selling our things behind my back, and I gave you one when you decided to open your little shop. I stood up, looking down at her pale, tear-streaked face. You're out of chances. The lawsuit was filed. In the courtroom, the atmosphere was grim. The judge, a serious-looking woman in her 50s, looked at my son, who had been brought in by a court officer. Her voice was as gentle as she could make it. "Son, can you tell me if your mom and dad live apart? Who would you like to live with?" My 10-year-old son, his small face set in a serious expression, answered without a moment's hesitation, his voice clear and strong. "I want to live with my dad." He paused, then added with a maturity beyond his years, "For the past few months. Mom has been like a different person. She's on her phone all the time. One minute she's crying, the next she's laughing. And she kept calling Dad a scumbag and saying he was sick in the head. It scared me." He looked towards Chloe, his eyes no longer filled with the adoration of a child, but with confusion and distance. "My baby, my son." Chloe looked as though she had been stabbed. She shot up from her seat, crying out and trying to run to him, but she was stopped by the bailiff. She collapsed back into her chair, sobbing hysterically. The comment feed was quiet for a moment, then a few messages drifted by. "Kids don't lie." "Oof, that's rough. Sounds like she really lost it." My former in-laws cornered me outside the courtroom, their eyes red. Her father looked like he had aged 10 years, his voice hoarse. "Mark, we know Chloe. She was foolish. She was wrong, but for the sake of your son, a child needs his mother. Think of all the years you had together." "Years." I cut him off, my voice calm. "Did you not hear what our son just said in there? He knows who he can count on." I watched their faces fall, my voice flat and cold as ice chips. "As for Chloe, she's an adult. She made her choices. Now she has to live with the consequences. She will pay the price for what she did." Reality delivered its first slap to Chloe's face very quickly. After her falling out with Jenna, their passion project, Chloe and Jen's Sweet Bites, went under. The tiny stockroom was overflowing with expired and near-expired snacks, the air thick with the sickly sweet smell of failure. Large handwritten "For lease" and "Everything must go" signs were taped to the door, flapping in the wind like a cruel joke. The cruelest irony: her loyal best friend, Jenna, vanished the first time a creditor came knocking for rent and payment for inventory. She cleaned out the last few dollars from their business account and disappeared off the face of the earth. All she left Chloe was a pile of unpaid invoices and angry messages from suppliers. Living her best life, solo, it had become the punchline to a very sad joke. A few stray comments appeared, sigh. "I knew it. The bestie skipped town. Totally predictable." But that slap wasn't loud enough. The blow that truly knocked her out cold came from Ace Wind, the man for whom she had emptied her bank account and pinned all her foolish fantasies. Over $400,000. Real money. Chloe tracked him down like a woman possessed. After much searching, she found him in a grimy back office of a low-rent talent agency, the air thick with smoke and the floor littered with cigarette butts. The man, who was a pale, handsome, gentle-eyed dreamboat through the camera's filter, was, in reality, a short, pudgy man with a pockmarked face, swollen, bruised-looking bags under his eyes, and greasy, stringy hair. The stench of cheap cigarettes and sweat was nauseating. Ace Wind took a drag from his cigarette and squinted at her through the smoke. Well, if it isn't my top donor, my #1 fan. You here for your money back? TSK. It was a gift, babe, willingly given. The platform takes half. The agency takes 30%. I only see a sliver of it, and it's long gone. The filter was gone. The dream was shattered. The pillar of delusion that had allowed her to feel so wronged by the world came crashing down. The immense weight of being deceived and humiliated finally broke the last thread of Chloe's sanity. A nasty brawl erupted on the street. She screamed, lunging at him, clawing at his face. "Liar! Give me back my money, you animal!" Ace Wind, while trying to fend her off, shrieked back, his voice high and piercing. "Get off me, you crazy bitch! You're an old hag who threw herself at me. Go look in a mirror. You really think you're some rich sugar mama?" A crowd gathered, pointing, whispering, their phone cameras flashing. I got a call from a nearby shopkeeper, whose number I conveniently kept, and calmly called the police. I provided them with the complete, pre-prepared records of her donations and screen recordings of Ace Wind using manipulative language to solicit funds during his streams. The evidence was undeniable. Ace Wind was not only facing fraud charges, but his public, humiliating insults had also been clearly recorded. He was arrested shortly after. Disheveled, her clothes torn, Chloe looked like a madwoman when she cornered me again. Her eyes were wild, Her face was scratched, and she grabbed my car door handle, her nails screeching against the paint. Mark! Mark! Her voice was raw, filled with the desperation of a drowning person clinging to a piece of driftwood. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I was possessed. I was so stupid. Can we please not get a divorce? I'm begging you. I'll be a good wife, a good mother. I'll stay home. I'll be good. I'll never look at that stuff again. We can start over. Please. I frowned in disgust, yanking her hand off my car and taking a large step back as if to avoid something contaminated. Don't bother. My voice was cold, devoid of any emotion. I glanced at her pathetic state, my eyes filled with undisguised contempt. I have my looks, I have money, and I have my son. I'm not looking for a live-in nanny. As for you, I got into the driver's seat and looked at her one last time before closing the door, my expression like one would give to a failed experiment. You can continue your search for the perfect man. Good luck with that. Oh, and two last pieces of advice before I go. I started the car, my voice carrying through the small gap in the window, clear and cold. First, stop reading trashy romance novels and scrolling through TikTok all day. Not everyone is out to get you. This whole 7-year-itch, girl boss revenge glow-up fantasy is just toxic self-help gospel they feed to fools. And second, the car began to move, my voice growing quieter. Real love isn't this dramatic. It's just two people holding hands with less scheming and less resentment, trying to get through life together. It's simple and it's hard, and you chose a different path. The car had gone a few yards when I hit the brakes, rolled down the window, and, as if remembering some trivial detail, called out to the frozen figure in my rearview mirror. All right, I almost forgot the most important part. Remember to pay me back. The car merged into traffic. In the rearview mirror, Chloe stood on the sidewalk like a statue that had had its spine ripped out. Her hair was a mess. Her face was a smear of tears and dirt, and her eyes were empty as she stared at the spot where my car had been. Her mouth was slightly open, as if she had forgotten how to cry. A gust of wind blew past, swirling fallen leaves around her feet. In the comments section, there was only dead, blank space. After a long 10 seconds, a single line of text slowly drifted across the screen, a collective sigh from 1,000 invisible viewers. Professor Mark, the voice of reason. I think I get it now. Life after the divorce was simple. No more guessing games. No more silent treatments. No more being held responsible for someone else's moods. I dropped my son off at school in the morning, and then I went to work. I picked him up in the afternoon. Sometimes we ate out. Sometimes we cooked together. It was simple, but it was peaceful. On weekends, we went to the park, the library, or a movie. My son was a little down at first, but kids are resilient. And the atmosphere in our new life was so much better than the resentment-filled house he had known before. He quickly became his cheerful self again. The feeling of freedom was intoxicating. The money I earned, after expenses and setting aside fund for my son's future, was mine to spend as I saw fit. I enrolled my son in the robotics class he'd always wanted to take. I bought myself the new computer I'd been eyeing for months. The occasional comment would still float by. Tisk, look at the scumbag living his best life. A kid raised by a father like that has no chance. I treated it all as background noise. Later, I heard that Jenna had gone abroad. Apparently, she had fallen for some high-paying job offer, but as soon as she landed in Southeast Asia, she vanished. Her husband reported her missing, but she was never heard from again. The comment feed was full of grim speculation. Another trafficking victim? That woman was pure poison. Then, news came from Chloe's parents. To help their daughter pay off her debts, the elderly couple had sold their family home. Most of the money went to covering the debt she owed me from the divorce. I heard they were now renting a small apartment, sighing every day and complaining about their daughter. She had a perfectly good life, and she just had to ruin it. Now the family is gone, the money is gone, and we barely get to see our grandson. Chloe tried living with them for a few days, but she couldn't stand the constant nagging and left. The tone of the comments had shifted subtly. Sigh. I feel bad for her parents. Chloe, maybe she was a bit impulsive. Are you serious? He's the one who forced her into this. Did he force her to sell their assets? Did he force her to donate a fortune to a streamer? Chloe started looking for a job. She had been out of the workforce for too long. Her old degree and limited experience were practically worthless in today's job market. She couldn't find anything that met her standards, and she wasn't qualified for anything good. In the end, I heard she signed up with a domestic staffing agency and became a live-in housekeeper. The comment feed was in shock. A housekeeper? She really became a housekeeper. Oh my God, what a fall from grace. You do what you have to do to survive. It's all his fault. Sometime later, gossip from the domestic help community trickled down. The family Chloe was working for was a dual-income household. The wife was a high-powered executive, and the husband was just as busy. Their child was in school, and the only other person in the house was an elderly parent who needed minimal care. On paper, the job wasn't difficult, but Chloe couldn't seem to adjust. They said she kept acting like she was still the lady of the house. For example, she found keeping a detailed grocery budget to be a hassle. She was used to just buying whatever she wanted. Her employer gave her a weekly menu, but she preferred to cook based on her mood. When the elderly parent made a small request, she would get annoyed, thinking how her own mother-in-law would never have dared to be so demanding. The final straw came when the family had guests over. Perhaps the scene felt too familiar because Chloe fell back in her old role as hostess, chatting too much with the guests and even rearranging the fruit platter without being asked. As soon as the guests left, the woman of the house called the agency and filed a complaint, saying Chloe didn't know her place and had a serious problem with boundaries. The comment feed was much quieter this time. Well, being a housekeeper and being the lady of the house are two very different things. Making a living is never easy, especially when you have to swallow your pride. Maybe she hasn't been able to switch roles in her head. I heard she was fired from that job. The agency found her a few other positions, but none of them lasted long. The reasons were always the same. Either she felt the employers didn't respect her, or she complained there were too many rules and no freedom. She wasn't making much money, but she was collecting a mountain of grievances. Later, an old acquaintance saw her at the supermarket. She looked haggard and was complaining to someone on the phone. Being a paid housekeeper is nothing like being a stay-at-home wife. It's exhausting. You're always at someone's beck and call. Always have to watch what you say. There's no freedom, and the pay is terrible. Somehow, her words made their way back to me. I was at the park with my son, flying a kite. The sun was warm, and the breeze felt good. My son was laughing as he ran. Hearing her words, I just found it absurd. The comments floated by slowly this time. It sounded like she regrets it. Well, as a stay-at-home wife, at least you don't have to answer to strangers. But you're still living at the mercy of your husband. It's different. In a family, you can argue about emotional labor and sacrifice. With an employer, all that matters is the contract and the money. That's a great point. Family is an internal power struggle. A job is a clear employer-employee relationship. I knelt and helped my son untangle the kite string. He looked up at me with his bright, curious eyes. Dad, was Mom's job at home really hard too? I thought for a moment before answering seriously. Son, of course it was hard. Taking care of a home, taking care of you. None of that is easy. But being tired isn't a free pass, and it's not an excuse to hold someone emotionally hostage. I worked hard at my job too. The important thing is that everyone has to be responsible for their own choices. Mom chose to stay home and take care of us. I respected her work and gave her the financial security I could. But then she started to feel like her work wasn't valued, and she wanted more. She even started to think that hurting others was the only way to prove her own worth. That's where she went wrong. I paused, looking into my son's clear eyes. Choosing to be a stay-at-home parent or choosing to build a career are both valid life choices. Neither one is better than the other. But no matter what you choose, you have to understand two things. First, respect is earned, not demanded through a sense of martyrdom. Second, you must always maintain the ability to walk away from a bad situation. That ability is either money or a skill set. The most dangerous thing you can be is a vine, completely dependent on someone else for support, but full of resentment. My son nodded, only half understanding. The kite soared high above us. The comment feed was silent for a long time. Then, a few messages drifted by. I hate to admit it, but the scumbag kinda has a point. Damn it, I just got a life lesson from a novel's villain. I stood up and patted my son's head. Come on, let's go home. I'll make you those Coca-Cola chicken wings you love. Hey, He cheered, running ahead of me. A breeze blew past, and my view was clear. The endless stream of comments that had once flooded my vision had dwindled, faded, and finally disappeared. My world was now just the blue sky above, the kite string in my hand, and the sight of my son running toward the sun. Freedom. Living my best life solo. It felt good. It felt clean. And